Geocaching name is RCKen, and I've been caching since 2007, so that's about 12 years.
So today we're going to do the Mount Lowe Railroad Trail, and there we are heading up. We got third wheel, we got eLKat, and over here introduce yourself.
RCKen.
RCKen, we're going to do some walk and talk as we go up this trail.
Okay.
All right, we're starting up. Not sure how far we have to go up this, but it's straight and there's a lot of elevation.
I feel safer going like this.
So Ken, we're going to do a little walk and talk here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, my geocaching name is RCKen, and I've been caching since 2007, so that's about 12 years. Right. And just love enjoying the outdoors. Good,
and you've done some crazy things, and as we go up here, we're going to start talking about them.
Okay.
Linda, no working today. No answering that email. All right, Ken, one of the crazy things you're working on is a puzzle challenge. Tell me about that.
The puzzle challenge I'm working on now is a calendar day puzzle challenge, where the object is to fill in your caching calendar every day of the year, 365 days. Fortunately, you don't have to do leap day, with a find of a puzzle, which has been quite a challenge. We discovered this challenge a little bit over a year ago and been working on it all year for a whole year, having to fill in. I needed 143 days, and I am 2 days away from completing this, so I will have that completed in next week sometime.
All right, got a mile, got 1,000 feet, and we have two geocaches. like the old days. All right, Ken, you have a friend, QB37, who comes up with harebrained ideas. What's the favorite harebrained idea he's done so far?
Well, I think one of the best harebrained schemes, adventures, we call them adventures, that we did was we did the California NHL challenge. I'm not sure the exact title of it, but this was a challenge where you had to go find specific caches that were within 0.1 or 0.2 miles of every one of the national historic landmarks in California. This adventure took us 5 different trips, 3 to 5 days long, driving all through California, Northern California, Southern California. It was actually a blast doing it. We had days where we would drive 500 miles and get 8 caches, but we had to go to Northern California to do that. That was quite an adventure. But we completed it.
Cool. That way. All right. So part of that adventure of picking up all the historicals, you told a pretty good story. Tell about that one.
One of the caches we needed to get was inside a national park. It was a multi up in, I think it was up around Sacramento area, a little north of Sacramento area. But we had been driving all day, and it was a multi that required us to go into the visitor center and get some information to go find the cache that was, maybe a quarter mile away from the visitor center in the park. And we pulled in there about 10 to 5 in the evening, and the visitor center closes at 5, but it just so happens that the ranger who was working there was the supervisor, and it was her last day for her retirement. She had been there 30 plus years, and they were holding a big retirement party for her, and she wanted to leave early. Just as we showed up and walked into the visitor center, we told her what we were doing. She was very nice, and she said, okay, you guys got a couple minutes. I'm going to go lock the front gate, and you go find the information you need, and then I'll come back and let you out. So we went in, we got the information we needed in the visitor center. We went and found the multi-cache, and just as we were getting back to our car, she was coming back in saying, okay guys, time's up, I gotta go, they're waiting for me. And she just escorted us out, and we were able to get that cache. If we hadn't been able to do that, it would have required another trip from Southern California up to Northern California to get that one cache, because it was the only one that met the requirement.
Awesome. Great story. All right, well, guess what? This trail is getting steeper and narrower, and Linda just loves steep, narrow trails, right? No.
You can't even see the trail.
I know.
It feels like Jack and the Beanstalk here.
Need a hand?
All right, Linda, what did you think of that?
Once was enough. Thank you very much.
Matt, could I convince you to just go down there a little bit, and I'll...
Going down there, I'm never coming up there again.
What'd you think there, Ken?
I think now I know next time not to go hiking with Linda. Don't let her pick the trail.
So after that, we get to a paved road. Woo! Boy, it feels good.
Okay.
All right, Ken. So if we need somebody to get a lifeline, you're one of the really good guys to call. Tell us how you keep track of all these caches you found.
Okay, well, what I do is I record an offline note of the cache, not the log that I want to post on geocaching.com, but a note about the log. As in this case, this was a pill bottle we found under a spore about 10 feet behind a sign. So I will record that in a program, and it could be either like a CGeo program, the geocaching.com app, Cachely, anyone that can save an offline log that then shoots it up to geocaching.com as a draft note. And then I use GSAC to run a macro that I wrote that pulls that offline log, that draft, all the draft notes into a database, could be an empty database or a populated database, marks all the caches as found, and copies my note to the user note section of the GSAC data. From there, then I push that into my found database, so I have all 15,000 plus finds, with most of them have notes on there, and then I will then copy that to a program called GDAC, which is basically GSAC for an Android device that goes on my Android phone. And then I have all that user note information there. So when someone texts me or calls me and they need a Lifeline of Phone, all I do is call up the GDAC program. I can search by GC number or part of the name of the cache, and the first thing that pops up is my user note. And then I can very easily just long press on it. It'll copy to the clipboard and paste it into a text note and shoot it back to the person who's looking for this cache.
So it sounds a little complicated, but it sure works for us. So
Yeah.
Thank you very much for everything you do.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you can see the where it anchored up on the other end there.
Uh-huh.
Look over there, though. Isn't that a pretty trail just through the gloom and the...
It is. So just kind of one of these places that geocaches take you, huh?
Yep. Mount Lowe Railway in the early 1900s.
All right, Ken. How did you learn about geocaching?
I learned about geocaching when I bought a GPS just doing for regular hiking, and I didn't know how to use the GPS. So I Googled how to use a hiking GPS, and the first thing came up with geocaching.com. I kind of went through the website, looked at that, thought, hey, that's pretty neat. There's things hidden out there at these GPS coordinates. Let me see how I get this thing to work. So I grabbed my son, who was about 7 at that time, and his best friend, next door neighbor Tiffany, was 8, and we said, let's go look for a cache in a park. So we drove over to the park, and when we got to the park, I looked at the GPS and it says, oh, you're there. So we looked around, we couldn't find anything. Finally, Tiffany grabbed the GPS, put it on a map page, and said, no, it's way over there. And she walked over and found the geocache. I was confused at how this worked. Turns out my GPS was on road mode. It was in on-road mode, and it was just taking me to the nearest road, which is the parking lot. And every time I walked towards the cache, it would point me back to the road. So that's how I started. I thought I had a defective GPS until I did some more research and found out that you can put it into a direct mode.
So an 8-year-old girl taught you about how to use your GPS.
Yes, yes.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Yes.
Well, they're walking on, so we ought to go catch up to them. Well, we're on the old railroad track, and oh man, what a nice little grade and much better hike, much better hike. So this is some of the remnant of the Lowe Railway. There's some of the narrow gauge ties. Going up here, looks like a little geo trail to a large geocache, and looks like Matt has it. So there was an observatory here, and this is the remnants. Got a cache to find.
From below, use various objects to gain about 1 foot of statue as I'm balancing to retrieve the cache. Down here. Yep, it's right here.
Oh, got it.
Woohoo!
Got it? Yeah. Looks like a waterproof mat container.
So Ken, been geocaching for about 5 years. What keeps you interested in geocaching?
I think I just like the challenge of going out, getting outside, first of all, whether it's on my bike or hiking, and the challenge of just trying to find things.
Excellent. So it just adds a new dimension to your biking and hiking.
Right, I've incorporated a lot of my biking, both my road biking and my mountain biking and geocaching. I find, you know, urban caches in a car get kind of boring, but you hop on your bike and navigating through there, it's a lot of fun.
Well, very good. Well, thank you for participating in my walk and talk. And I don't know if you know how I finish all of these, but I always finish them by saying, thanks for joining us. So, what do we want to tell all these people?
Thanks for joining us.